It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and we are joined now by Brian Taylor from Real Golf Radio. Brian, good morning.
Good morning from out in Philadelphia, boys. How we doing?
Well, pretty good, but you sounded less than great right there. Hold on, Yak's going to work on that. That was wild. I would describe that as very electronic, PK. What would you go with?
I overmodulated.
Ooh, very nice. Highly technical, especially for you. I'm impressed with that.
I heard that. I don't even know what it means, but I just heard that.
It works.
You said it somewhere along the line. You're overmodulated again. I thought, oh, crap, here we go.
Yak is going to dial him back, and we'll get him on the line and hopefully sound a little better. And an engineer comes sprinting in. What in the world was that? Is the place on fire? How did that happen? All right, well, we'll work on that and get him from the PGA Championship. Can you watch first and second round, PK, or you just pick it up on the weekend? You're going to be locked in on this thing for 4 days. Little daytime sports.
Golf is the one sport that I can watch the early rounds if I'm busy at night when they replay it.
I've done that, yeah. Yep. You already know what's going to happen. You watch a basketball game. It goes to halftime. It's a 20-point game. You don't want to hear them say the obvious stuff, and you flip over and you watch a few holes of golf.
Or I will literally set the plan to watch it because I was busy during the day. And there's you look at the leaderboard, and when you look at it, it's like almost like eye pollution. And it's hard to figure out. You got to look at it 3 times if you want to see where's Ricky Fowler, and you got to study it. And I lose concentration. So I like watching. I can watch golf replay. I don't like watching replays of sports, unless it's some old thing, the Jazz in the '97 finals or what have you. And then it's fun to go back and look at that, or
but you don't want to watch
Sun Devils in the Rose Bowl,
you don't
whatever. But I can literally watch golf that was earlier in the day at night.
Well, we'll have that opportunity with the PGA Championship, and Yak is working on whatever. I don't know. Do you know what went wrong right there, Yak? That was pretty wild. All right, he's still working on it. So this PGA Championship could be history, PK. You ready for a career Grand Slam?
With golf, I think you have to be ready for everything from A to Z because it is one of the more unpredictable sports. Tiger made it so that now the pressure's on these guys, the better players. Well, you need to win and win consistently because he did. And I don't know that that's realistic. And we're seeing, Rory make a comeback, so to speak, because he had won 10 years prior.
Yep.
And was still around, still doing his thing, but he wasn't able at the highest stage. And then finally he gets it. Jordan Spieth, same thing. I think it's like 2017. These guys were young kids. Now they're men with families, and things get in the way. Can they still recapture it? And it seems like every year there's somebody chasing them. And a few years back, it was Scotty Scheffler. Well, now Scheffler's getting into that position where he's not a kid. He's become a man with a family, and things get in the way and all that. And who are the next chasers? Who's it going to be? Is this kid down at BYU, man? This Akina? This kid looks like he's going to be off the charts. Is he going to be able? Somebody like him can challenge as these guys get in their 30s and they got all these things going on. They become like many individual corporations, and people are pulling at them. And then you've got a wife, you've got kids, and those things are more important anyway, and you want to devote enough time to there. So there's so much that goes into it that you wonder if it's sustainable, and we get to see it. Rory, can he can he get another major, right? I mean, how far can he take this thing? I asked that for Nick Faldo back in October. How far can Scheffler take it? Basically the guts of the 26th season hadn't started yet, and thinking, well, is he going to win one? Is he going to win two? He's going to contend probably, because that's who he is. But, contending is nice and in the moment, but historically contending can only carry you so far without winning. And with that in mind, can he, speaking of Scheffler, be the dominant one in the era? I was going to ask Brian, if we don't get him, I'll ask Bobby Casper. Is Chambly, who has a lot of opinions and has made himself sort of not the golf analyst, the golf commentator, because he doesn't have a job analyzing the shots as they're happening in real time. But when the rounds are over or in between rounds, he's got a lot to say. And I think he said Rory at his best, Scheffler at his best. Who do you think he picked?
Ooh, Rory.
Okay, I saved this. I bookmarked it because I saw it on Twitter, and I want to make sure that I get the exact quote of what he said, which then I guess
if they're both completely dialed in, who wins? I would think Rory. I think the fact that Scheffler doesn't have the classic swing, but see, when he's dialed in, all that doesn't matter. The footwork and they just hop. It's like a triple jump when Scheffler's out there. The hop, skip, and a jump. He's all over the place.
Nope. All right, I will literally read you the quote.
Yeah.
And the word cannot is uppercase.
Okay.
So obviously this is a video, so I'm just reading the
closed
quote,
captioning.
but the video must have been much, emphasized the word cannot. If Scotty plays his best game, Rory cannot beat him.
Oh, wow. Wow, I was exactly wrong. I was 180 degrees off.
Yeah.
Wow. So, because if Scheffler wins the Open next month, then he has a career slam, which puts him right alongside Rory. Give him a fifth title. Rory's sitting on 6. If Rory gets 7, he's tied with Arnold Palmer. We have guys with a chance to write history here this year.
Yeah.
And is it Spieth right now who's trying to finish the career slam? Yeah.
Yeah.
Spieth is on 3 titles, but he has won 3 of the majors.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. And so
now he's married with 3 kids.
I know. And we've got, and he's joked / sarcasm about, he plays golf on the side. To your point about, life gets in the way. Stuff happens. He's married with 3 kids. He was single with a girlfriend when he started down this major championship pathway.
He was single with multiple girlfriends.
Hey-o!
Right, that's what I'm saying. He was a kid. Now he's approaching middle age in a sense. And how do you handle that? Johnny Miller was famous for talking about that.
Yep.
He went away for a bit because he had these kids to raise and he didn't want to sacrifice. And so what sacrificed was his game. We see that much more common with the women.
Oh, we can name
because
multiple.
They want to get married. They want to have kids.
Yeah,
I can name you 6, 7 ladies who were premier golfers.
Literally
and then
number
it tailed
one.
off.
Yeah, literally number 1 in the world.
Yeah, right. And other things happen. And so you got priorities. Michelle Wie never materialized to the level people thought because it wasn't her first priority. And she became a wife, and I think she's got 2 kids with Jerry West's son.
And Annika Sorenstam got to the mountaintop and walked away.
Perfect example. Elena Ochoa. A gal out of Mexico who was dominating. Right. Yeah. Lexi Thompson just got married here recently. And we know Nelly Corda is engaged. She speaks of her fiance. Her sister Jessica got married. So it happens. Julie Inkster, Nancy Lopez, if you want to go way back.
Yep.
And things like that happen. So it's easier to understand from the female perspective because they're the ones who have to give birth and all that, and they're the mothers. But I think that it definitely impacts the males too. And so who's going to be there? Or can they channel it? Can they compartmentalize to where, okay, I've got 3 weeks to get ready for this particular major, and I'm really going to hone in on it. Maybe they can do that. It's all fascinating to see because I got Nick Faldo telling me you can be an 8 out of 10 and compete at a high level in various aspects of the game, but mentally you must be a 10 out of 10. And he was so emphatic. You can probably go and listen to it in the archives when I interviewed him last October. And here's a guy who won 6 majors. So obviously he knows what he's talking about.
DJ and PK, Yuck, should we go to this right now, or you want to take a break and do it on the other side so we have more time? Okay, we're going to do it right now. Let's bring him in. Hold your breath. Brian Taylor, good morning.
Let's try it again, boys. How are we doing?
We're doing well. You sound good now. Hey, we've got a lot of ground to cover here with the PGA. What are the odds that we get history, you think? That Spieth finishes, because we've got multiple players trying to finish the career slam this year, the same way Rory finished it last year at the Masters. It's Spieth at the PGA, at the U.S. Open. It's going to be Scheffler. What do you think we get history this week? And history comes in many forms.
Yeah. I mean, history can come in all forms, right? As far as a member of the Career Grand Slam Club, I'm not putting a lot of stock into Jordan's game right now, unfortunately. I just don't think he's sharp enough and consistent enough. You know, he talked about it earlier this week that his swing changes and his swing in general are kind of like smoking meat. You know, you put it on there and you're watching the temperature rise and it gets up to a certain temperature very quickly. And then it just kind of takes a long time. It seems like it takes an inordinate amount of time to get to the very end of it where it's just perfect. And so I thought that was interesting. And just watching the way he explained that, my takeaway was that it's not quite there yet. And it's pretty tough to do that when you're not fully confident in what you're doing out here at a major championship. That said, if you're looking for a PGA championship that he would do well in, this is one of them because it's a pretty wide open, ballpark. You know, they've taken out a lot of trees and there's a lot of room to hit it off the tee. And so that's usually his struggle. But so there's a lot of room and his short game's still there. It's not Jordan Spieth of 2015, but the short game is still there. So I'm not saying he couldn't put a magical week together, but feels like there's a couple other players at the top of their game that are going to be tough to beat.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Brian, you speak of those trees being removed, and that's a little bit of been a discussion point because the rough is not U.S. Open rough. So you got some of the guys like Rory and others talking about, well, just bomb away because you don't really have a consequence if you're a little bit off. Do you think that's an accurate assessment and it's the way it should be for a PGA?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion point, right? I mean, that's the recent trend in golf course redesign is to remove trees. They look at pictures of the way that the architect designed these golf courses 100 years ago, and they don't see all the trees or all the trees grown up. And so it's a look of, let's take this back. Let's put it back to the way it was. And a lot of trees have been added. And, we talked about this last year at Oakmont. Oakmont was pretty wide open. And then it was one of the newspaper reporters wrote something negative about the look of it. And the membership did a beautification project and planted a whole bunch of trees so that it would look beautiful. And then when it got sort of redesigned back to the original architect, they took all those trees back out. And so it looks totally different. What I thought was interesting was Xander Schauffele said, yeah, there's a lot of bunkers, 173 bunkers or whatever out here. And he said, that's a lot of bunkers, but it was bunker's a bunker, whatever. But if it was a tree, now you're just having to see guys curve the ball. You're going to have to move the ball around the trees. Bunkers, no big deal. For the most of us, right? And this is the battle that you have in this kind of a scenario. This golf course last hosted a PGA Tour event in 2018. So almost 10 years ago, the biggest names in golf came and competed for a championship here on this golf course. The rest of that 10 years, it's a membership. It's not a bunch of, players like us that are out there, wanting to enjoy the golf course. And so do you set up a golf course specifically for a major championship and the top players in the world that come once every decade or so? Or do you have and how do you balance that with a membership? Because I think the membership would go crazy if it was too hard, right? And they weren't able to, carry all the bunkers that were out there, and most of us struggle out of bunkers, and especially from a 50 or 60-yard bunker shot, things like that. So these guys, they eat it for lunch. So it is an interesting discussion point. I think there's a lot more that goes into it. But as it relates to the competition this week, I suspect, Gary Player won at 2 under par back in 1962, the last time the PGA Championship was held here. I suspect it'll be significantly lower. Last year, I think it was 11 under that Scotty Scheffler was winning at, and I could see that probably getting eclipsed this week.
We had our draft with Bob, and of course, Bob picks first. I pick second, and then PK picks third. Your top 3 favorites to win in this tournament. Let's see where they went in our draft and see if you're on the same page, if you think we really messed up.
Coming into the year, I went with Justin Rose, our way too early major predictions, and I decided to stick with it. But, he switches over to McLaren Golf Clubs, and I don't know that is the winning formula for coming into a major championship when he'd been playing, really quite well the last couple of years. And he lost in a playoff here. He also won here. So he's got a good track record. So I do still like Justin Rose. We'll see how he does with the new gear. But then I think it's 1 and 2. I really do. I think this is going to come down to 1 and 2. I think you're going to see, Rory and Scheffler battle it out. They're both so good. They're both playing so well. And, I think that's when you say history, we don't often get 1 and 2 battling it out in a major championship. And that's why I think maybe that's the history we could see, is just an epic battle of 1 and 2. But, those are my 3 guys. How'd you guys do?
Rory was the first pick in the first round by Bob, and I agree that Rory would be history if he wins. I think history, there's many stories here. A 7th major title tied with Arnold Palmer, yeah, that'd be a big deal if Rory pulls that off. You didn't mention Cameron Young. He was the second pick. Justin Rose, PK took at the end of the second round. You didn't mention Cam Young.
Well, look, I think Cam Young's on a heater right now, and there's nobody that would pick against him. But those are my guys looking at it. But Cam Young's playing some awesome golf, inspiring golf, and he's fun to watch, right? He seems just like a sort of a blue collar hard nose. We talked Paul Azinger, years ago in 2008 when he was the captain of the Ryder Cup. He talked about his guys and what happens when you are on a Ryder Cup team and how that forges you as a player and how it can really jumpstart a career and all that kind of thing. And you look at the way Cam Young performed at the Ryder Cup. He's kind of the only American that really stepped up the entire week, and then he just has taken it from there and gone on. And I love Cam Young. I think he's a fun guy to watch. I think he's gritty. He stared down Scotty Scheffler, for 3 straight rounds and dusted him off. And that's not easy to do. So I think you got to give Cam Young all the respect in the world this week as well.
It's been a few years now, Brian, but how much do you think that the players like moving this tournament from August to May?
It's an interesting one also. There's a different cadence to it, right? I mean, you'd have the Masters and then you go a couple months before you hit the U.S. Open in June. And then August was sweltering. So you had a lot of these, super hot PGA championships. That said, a classic golf course like this one in the Northeast this time of year is a bit of a crapshoot because the weather, you never quite know. And so one of the big stories coming in this week at Aronimink is, how would the weather hold up? Today was supposed to be particularly rainy. And it looks like it's going to miss it. It's super windy out there. I've just been out walking the golf course. It's chilly, it's windy, and there's no rain. And so if the rain does in fact hold off and it's not really supposed to rain the rest of the week, I think you can get this thing firm and it can play like it is designed to play, right? A championship test. A little bit of rain softens it, and it just, Max Homa was quoting Keegan Bradley, who won here, as saying it was a pitch and putt. I mean, that's even if you think that, big guys don't usually say that. And so I think when you're talking about a classic golf course, a Donald Ross design like Aronimink, it's a proud club here and just an amazing property, so if there are kind of a pitch and putt scenario, that's not really how I would describe this. But to your point, I think some guys look at it now as sprint. You're getting all your majors and then you got them surrounded by all these signature events, April, May, June, July, and then take a little bit of a breather and right into the playoffs. So I don't know. I think if I had my druthers, I like it again in August, but just because I think the number of golf courses and the way they can be set up is a little bit better.
Well, play out in the West. Quit holding all the championships back east. Come west more often. You get better weather. You can play in prime time, get higher viewership, make more money, which clearly the last few years, I mean, whether it's jacking up the PGA purses or the live money, everybody's interested in more money. We've had that confirmed for the millionth time. So who's going to listen to us?
U.S. Open coming to Pebble Beach.
Now you're talking.
And,
now you're talking.
And the wait for the announcement on the new schedule. They're talking about kicking things off in the West at a major venue with a big event to kick off the season, and then circling back around to the West Coast during the playoffs where they can showcase again some of those iconic golf courses. So I think you're going to see the West get a little bit more love from some of those courses later in the year, which I think would be beautiful, because when you're playing Pebble Beach and Torrey Pines in the spring, or I shouldn't even say spring, wintertime, January, February, again, weather is an issue. You get a kind of summertime and man, it can be absolutely ideal conditions, especially on those Poe greens. So I'm liking the future for the West. Hopefully they'll keep showcasing it, because I'm with you. I'm a West Coast golf fan, and I think there's a lot to it. But I'll tell you, the Northeast is iconic, man. It's always special to come to a place like Aronimink.
We are a little worried about you. We've had some coworkers where PK and I know they don't necessarily travel well alone. Bob said you went and he didn't, which is unusual. You going to be okay on your own back there?
Of the 27 years we've been doing this show, I don't even know the number of majors. I think I can only count maybe 2 or 3 where we've gone out solo. So yeah, it is a little strange. I think people look at me and they're like, "Hey," and then they're sort of like looking around for where's the other half, right? So there's Brian and Gina. We've been married 30 years. Then there's Brian and Bob. We've almost been married 27 here on this show. So it's one of those kind of things.
All right, your golf twin there. All right, well, have a good time back there. Enjoy the tournament. We'll talk to you later this week.
You got it. Thanks, boys.
All right, thank you very much. There is Brian Taylor joining us from the PGA Championship. Bob and Brian's appearances are brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountain Land Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and Uinta Golf. Thanks to all of our sponsors, DJ and PK, Kristen Peak, top of the hour on the draft. What would she trade to get AJ DeBansa to Utah? We will talk with Kristen coming up. To Win Tickets Wednesday, we got a 5-pack of tickets to watch Real Salt Lake and the Colorado Rapids Saturday night, America First Field. We will give those away on the other side of the break. Don't call now. Yak will just hang up on you. Or do call now. Yak likes to hang up on people, and he'll just slam the receiver down on you. But we'll give those tickets away after the break. Stay with us.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.